The Navionics seminar series. My name is Don Black. I'm the Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing with Navionics. For the last several years, we've ran these programs pretty much worldwide. We attend events and do a program like this, Dusseldorf, ICAST here in the United States, and of course in Miami. And our objective with these seminar programs is pretty simple. We'd like to provide our perspective on what's happening in the navigation sector and what that means to cartography, and then the way that Navionics is molding their products to meet that ever-evolving demand. So, without further delay, I'd like to introduce Giuseppe Carnevale. Giuseppe is our owner-founder. He's our chief inventor, and he has 30+ years and even more opinions about the navigation market. So, Giuseppe.
Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. See some old friends and new friends. Thank you, Don, for saying that I'm 30 years old. I'm actually a little older than that, so I started the company over 5. So, okay, so the question I get asked more frequently is, what is the future of electronic charts? And this year, we're very comfortable saying that it is a second revolution, no less than the first one, which we started 31 years ago by creating the electronic charts. As you all know, we did introduce the world's first electronic chart in 1984. There is a global concern and some incidents that happened recently sort of reminded that. Less than 10% of the world's seas have been charted to the same resolution as maps of the Moon and Mars. And this is from the International Council of Science. And the Norwegian Hydrographic Office, and you all know that Norway is a very seaworthy country. The Norwegians are very tough seamen. They really know the stuff. And they officially, the local hydrographic office estimates that about 35,000 rocks are not charted, and that it will take with conventional means about 30 years to find them all. So what does that mean? Some of you may remember this video from last year. This is what happens when rocks are not charted. And there's another example in the same place. This was a regatta. That's a little painful, but it does happen. Show it again. Just in case. Well, this is what happened last 2 years ago by now to the U.S. ship Garden on a reef that was reported 8 miles away from its real position. Now, much more recently, everybody has been, I guess all the press has been involved with the Volvo Ocean Race grounding on a reef. So what does that mean? Does it mean that cartographers don't do their job, or that skippers don't use the prudent way of navigating? It really means that a lot of those things, but really the bottom line is that the expectation today on electronic charts is that they're no longer just a simple conversion of paper chart into digital. Paper charts were designed and made, and all hydrographic office's mission is to serve the Navy first of all, and the commercial ships. If those can be used also by boats, that's great, but that's not their mission, or not their primary mission. Of course, I'm not talking about any single one specifically, but this is pretty much the general rule. The paper charts were designed to be used on a display that is about 3 by 3 feet. We're not using a display that is this big, so we're only seeing that little of a paper chart when it's digitized. And so the simple translation of the paper chart into digital really means that you can only use it the same way as you were using a paper chart. So tomorrow we need something that is as accurate and as up-to-date, as current as the GPS page expects things to be. Detailed, accurate positioning, accurate in depth, up-to-date when sandbars shift or navigates shift, those are expected to be very much up-to-date. So what can we do about it? And here comes our model here, which is, if you want better charts, go vote. Nowadays, it is possible to make better charts for voting. Again, you know, when I said hydrographic offices, the primary mission is to serve the Navy and to serve the commercial ships. Their charts are really designed to keep those big ships away from the places where the boats go to. If anybody has any complaint, it's like I don't know, a submarine cable company that goes to the hydrographic office and says, well, your charts are not good enough to lay a submarine cable. And the hydrographic office would say, yes, that's not what they're intended for. They're intended for navigation by big ships. If you want to lay a submarine cable, that's a different business. If you want to run a 20-foot boat into a small inlet way away from the shore, that's not exactly the mission of the hydrographic office. But today, it is possible to make boats, charts which are largely made by voters, for voters. And when I say made by voters, I'm saying people like me, like Tom, who just introduced you, and most of the staff at Navionics, and so applies to other companies. We're all voters, and we do this primarily for our own use, and it's great that we can share it with our customers, that if anything goes wrong, we are the first customers. So we use all technologies to do that. Anything ranging from satellite imagery, LiDAR is a airborne laser that can do a scanning at very high resolution, very high frequency. We have very sophisticated computer software that we have developed, and we keep developing over the years. Where now, I mean, when we started, our buzzword was seamless. We produced the first seamless database, but that was a seamless flat. We now have a seamless dynamic 3D modeling software. And then, of course, many other things, but one of the most important ones is crowdsourcing, which is why we say, if you want better charts, you're voting. So let's see some differences between the charts that are just digitization of the paper chart and a new electronic chart. You can see here a raster and a vector officially show chart, and there's a reason why they are the way they are. But on your right, you can see an up-to-date, let's say, chart made to be used on a small display. And I guess the difference is pretty clear. This is up the river, actually up the river where I have my boat. And on one side you have the NOAA chart, on the other side you have the sonar chart. Now the depth in this area is in the range, as you can see, of 2-3 feet. Well, no ships call into these areas, but there's thousands of boats out that river. So remember this, we just saw it a couple of times. Well, through crowdsourcing, you see the two rocks that those boats were hitting on, which are not in the official charts, but are in the charts made for boats. And as a matter of fact, these were put in by users, like all of us. And in one of them, the description says, well, I actually dived or dove onto it. It's a rock that is about 1.8 to 2 meters deep. And you can see paint chips on it, which means that quite a few boats actually had an encounter with those rocks. So we do a lot of crowdsourcing. By the way, this is the, again, a very interesting example. You can see on this side the chart, the official chart of the ICW. You can see the channel. But you can also see the updated ICW recommended route, which goes through the buoys which are up here. And on this side, you can see it overlaid on the Google Maps, which shows very clearly that the channel is not where the chart indicates it. Well, we know that these things can change in a year, actually can change in a storm. In a matter of days. And keeping these things up to date is very challenging, particularly with conventional means. And when I ordered the Norwegian Hydrographic Office saying, well, we estimate about 35,000 uncharted rocks in 30 years with conventional means to get them all. And the International Hydrographic Organization is now talking about crowdsourcing. So this is really the way to the future, in addition to, of course, other technologies. So another example of what we mean by modern-day charts. Nowadays, particularly in places like Florida, we not only contend with moving sandbars and all of that, but gravity zones, speed zones, and all these things. Those electronic charts, the modern day electronic charts, not only can tell you that the speed limit here is 5, but also that you're doing 8.3 and you're above the speed limit. So there's a red background showing you that you're speeding. And again, we are in land, and you can see the difference between the official chart for ships and the one for boats. However, so this is a quick overview talking about the new revolution. The first revolution being going from paper to digital, the second revolution going digital to digital, but in a way that is up to the standards that one can expect when using GPS and all the other navigation technologies that are available today. However, we do have many other things that are new this year, and that I would like to go through very quickly. All of them are visible in more detail live at our booth, so that's an excuse to invite you all to come to our booth and see them live. First of all, new technologies. Vexilar's SonarPhone, here represented by our friend, who have created the first black box Wi-Fi enabled sonar. This is interfaced with our app and does some very cool things. You can do split screen, have a fish finder, and the chart, and more, and we'll see it in a moment. Other new technology is very interesting. Now we're seeing the appearance of the first chart plotters, actually marine chart plotters with running Android and therefore running our app. And I don't say that just because, of course, I'm very proud of the fact that they're running our app, they're running ours and others. But the fact that we're not talking, the typical lifespan of a traditional product, be it a GPS for a car or for a boat, is in the range of 5 years or so. The typical lifespan of an app, meaning between releases, is in the order of 1 to 2 months. That is how frequently they get updated, upgraded, made simpler, more fun to use, etc. So if you have a plotter that runs apps that is marine, visible in the sun, waterproof, no problem with the life of the battery. Of course, it's a very different experience. But you can have the latest and greatest anyway. New technologies, maps in your website. We have created, any of you in the industry that had a website, more very likely will have will be using Google Maps for anything that is geolocated. Well, now in 3 minutes, anybody that, unlike me, can write a little bit of software for a website. You can simply change a URL, and instead of using Google Maps, they can use our maps and have their marine maps in there. There's right now about 700 websites that are interested in working on implementing that. About 55 are already live online. Other new things, Navionics Updates. Well, Navionics Updates is not that new, but of course it's very important. I mean, we cannot talk about having sonar charts, updating very frequently and very quickly the charts to make sure that if the sandbar moves or there's a blank or something like that, this is reflected in the charts very quickly unless there is a adequate distribution system available. And our distribution system is based on a daily program. So every day you can get the freshest data on your chip or on your app. We republish every day the entire suite of all our charts. Now, what's new this year is that this can be applied also to charts made by our competitors. That means that we don't update their data, but we do update their chip to our data. So in other words, if anybody has a non-Navionics chart or chip in their product and wish to use switch over to Navionics Plus, all they have to do is buy an update, and for the price of an update, which happens to be $99, you can get it full-blown Navionics Plus, which means the so-called gold chart, the sonar chart, and updates for a year, as many as you want every day, community edits, and so forth. Other new things, sonar charts live. This is done by connecting a sonar to our app. Not only do we display the fish finder, etc., but we can also create a sonar chart in real time as we move. This is now doable, first of all, of course, with Vexilar, but also with pretty much any Wi-Fi router. One of the most commonly available is called Digital Yacht, but there's several others that are also compatible. They plug into all sorts of different hardware, like Garmin, like Navico, like Furuno, etc. Navico also have their own router, which is called Go Free. That also works. It's essentially an NMEA. But when in those cases, you're looking at that only. You're not looking at a fish finder. You're looking at that. But still, you can make a sonar chart live with it. So let me show you how it works. Now, this is actually a screen capture taken with a boat moving. And as you can see, as the boat moves, the depth is updated. And let me stop here for a second. You see here there's a little spike. This indicates that there's a rock, and the rock was right there. And you can also see that in some cases the new contour pretty much coincides with the older one, but in other cases it's really very different. So this is how you can create your own sonar chart in real time. In addition to, of course, having navigation and everything else. So this is an example of what the sonar chart really means, is that you can have several boats going through the same area, and this, what you just saw before was the sonar chart before and then the sonar chart after. After, of course, collecting data from all sorts of sources. So this is, I guess, key. It may sound a little bit obvious, but crowdsourcing is not crowdsourcing unless it is supported by cloud. And so it is very important to have a very large community of people contributing to the sonar chart. Our community is definitely very large. We have close to 3.5 million apps downloaded. But even more importantly, last year we had about 60 million sessions. That means our apps were used about 60 million times. That means something on average close to 200,000 times per day. So that is how many times people actually use our apps, and how many times do they have a chance of seeing what is right and what is wrong, and when they see something wrong, they have a chance to fix it right there and then through the community edits and through the sonar logs. Sonar logs, which we do collect pretty much from any sources available, and that is what creates really a big difference. Actually, we have already so many sonar logs that they cover the distance to the moon and back 2.5 times. That's a lot. With conventional means, it would take forever to have that many survey lines. And this is the difference. You can see on the left panel that I'm creating here a sonar chart line, but at one point the sonar lost volume, and this happens all the time. I mean, you can have a very inexpensive and not so good sonar, or you can have a very expensive, very professional, hundreds of thousands of dollars sonar. This will happen anyway. Every once in a while, the sonar will lose bottom and feeds the wrong data. This could be in a bottom of 3-4 feet, all of a sudden showing 100 feet. And so you get this kind of error, like all of a sudden there's a big hole in the sonar chart line. Well, if you put together sonar logs from hundreds, if not thousands, of different boats, then you get this. And again, this is where I live, where I have my boat. And the story is that before I had this chart, which means for about 10 years, every year at the end of the summer, I had to take the boat out, the propellers out of the boat, and send them somewhere to be fixed because they always had dents. Because there are no buoys. This is all very shallow, very flat-ish. So I always just made a straight line across, and I always ran. I tried several straight lines, but I never managed to avoid shoals. So at the end of the summer, I always had the propeller dented. Well, since I've had this chart, which is 2 summers, I've been able to see that, yeah, I cannot go straight. I need to do a sort of an S-shaped route. If I do that, I avoid the shallowest parts of the pond, and guess what? In the last 2 years, I have not needed to get the propellers fixed. So that's a lot of money saved. I mean, the cost of the app or any other equipment is abundantly paid for just for that. Not to talk about the fact that when you're going down that waterway and you have friends on board, and you're kind of bragging about their marine abilities, if all of a sudden everybody says, oh, I heard it. What was that? Well, you don't like to do that. So, by the way, we won the award for innovation today with the SonarChart and the SonarChart Live. Other new technologies. We're now producing the SonarChart for Garmin equipment. It is on sale as of today. It has 1 foot contours and 1 year of free updates to get done with it. I do have to say, however, that Garmin is not supporting this chart. We have created it with open source software, but Garmin are changing their operating software to sort of disable the use of this, and we would like to do it together with Garmin, but it does seem to be very difficult. So people need to be aware of the fact that if they buy it in Garmin today, or if they update the software in an existing Garmin equipment, that may no longer be able to use a Navionics SonarChart. Another very interesting thing, new auto routing software. If any of you have tried auto routing, you know that it works usually once you are outside and up to another place outside. None of them works within the narrow channels. Well, we have developed technology that is now able to auto route even in narrow channels between buoys, and even when the buoys are not necessarily aligned and all that. In this particular case, as you can see, I have introduced I said that I want a starting point at Miami Beach Marina, and I want to go to Coconut Grove Sailing Club. And boom, here I've got the automatic route. I have some red legs here that indicate that I should be careful about something. If I click here, I will be told what should I be careful about. Let me show you a detail of how the automatic route was actually able to find its way through a very narrow channel and even into the marina. Nobody else can do that today. There's a patent pending, and this is working. You can see it live at our booth. So this is my presentation for today. Well, thank you, everybody.